Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, we could really use your help. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, recently named the Too Opinionated podcast one of its top 100 podcasts. This is a monumental feat for this program. You know, we're a father and son team out of a small town in West Virginia, have been doing this for about 5 years. There's 15 million podcasts out there. About 40,000 of those get to the point that they're listed on IMDb. Out of those 40,000 out of the 15 million, we were ranked number 82. Something that we're just immensely proud of. We're so thankful for our listeners, our watchers, our fans. Thank you so, so much. If you would like to help us out, and we're asking for it, please. It's easy. It's really easy. It's free. If you go to IMDb, that's imdb.com, look up Too Opinionated Podcast, and just take a look at the page. That's all you have to do. I mean, you're welcome to look at the cast, look at the episodes so you can kind of see who's been on the program. Do whatever you want. But even just bringing up the page, imdb.com, Too Opinionated Podcast, bring up the page, look at it. That helps us so much. So please, if you can do anything, we would really appreciate that. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Love to have your subscription there. It's also free. And you can also check out our website, meistercon.com, where you'll find almost 700 episodes, audio and video, available on there. There's also a terrific blog from Brett, and it'll let you know anything that we have going on in studio, if we're covering a convention, if we're going on location, anything that we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so, so much. We appreciate you so much. I can't express enough how appreciative we are of all of you. We never expected to do as well as we have, and that's all because of you. Thank you so much. Enjoy that interview. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Too Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got the creative team, the cast behind the new sitcom Supermarket. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you
I'm
for
so
having
happy that you guys are here. Adam, why don't you go around and introduce everybody and kind of go through what each of you does on the podcast?
Sure. I'm Adam Murciano. I play Carson Carson, who's the lead character on the show. I'm also one of the creators, one of the co-directors, sound designers, one of the co-writers. I've everything. Probably an extra on the show as well.
There's a lot of
my
hats.
voice in the background. Like I've done everything on the show. But that's me. And then I'll introduce Alexandria.
Hello. I'm Alexandria Benoit. I am one of the co-creators of Supermarket. I'm also a director on Supermarket, a co-writer, co-producer, and I play Ember.
And I am Ryan Rosery. I play Elijah, the fun-loving stoner in the supermarket.
He is fun-loving.
Yeah.
He's so fun.
He is. He's a lot of fun. He's a lot of fun.
Well, so let's start this way, because I know this isn't your first podcast drama that you have done, although this is a sitcom, but drama or a sitcom. So talk a little bit about what started the concept. You know, where did the idea come from? How did you get, the company started, and then kind of progress from there?
Well, it happened in 2020. COVID hit and I got dropped from my agent, and I was just so stressed out. I was like, what? Like, I'm so tired of just like waiting to get an acting job. Like, why can't I just make my own stuff? And of course it was 2020, so I couldn't do my own stuff. I couldn't hire a camera crew or, get like a lighting team because we're all isolated. And I had so many friends who were out of work as well, and so many talented friends like these two down here. And I was like, I feel like we should all be able to come together somehow and create a show. And so we created our first show, Cascadia, all voice acting. And we fell in love with the genre and the type of storytelling that was, which is podcasting format. And ever since then, we just continued going and haven't looked back. So it's been a lot of fun. We've had a lot of fun creating these shows and getting to work with different types of people and going to the studio, doing it in live and recording with everybody. And it's been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's commendable that, you know, because we all struggled through 2020.
Yes.
And it defeated a lot of us with that. But you guys found something to, you know, kind of put a positive spin on it. And look what it created. I mean, I'm sure when you were first starting, the hope was to get it to this point.
Yeah.
But you know, chances are it's not going to make it. There's like 15 million podcasts out there.
We were so lucky because we put it out, like I said, well, first of all, like you said, it took up all the time. And like every day we were working on it, months were just flying by. So like quarantine was like nothing for us because we were just working all the time and staying busy, which was really good. And then like putting so much work and hours into it. And then when it came out, like Spotify featured us all over their homepage. And it was just this like amazing emotional full circle moment that like we worked so hard just to create something. We weren't even expecting it to blow up or anything. And then to have Spotify do that for us was so just amazing. And it just started everything for us. So.
How did that come about?
I don't know. I still don't know.
Like I figured it was just kind of random.
I guess
stars aligning.
Yeah, the editorial team, I guess. Like that's what I'm saying. Like we just put the work in and then let the universe kind of do its job. Maybe, I don't know, but people were able to discover all that work that we've all done, the whole cast, the crew, everything, and it just made it feel so good, you know?
So, yeah, that's awesome. And I told you my son Brett that does the editing for us, he loved.
Yeah, you said that he liked the show.
Yeah, because he's like, Dad, I've been watching this. It's like a submarine podcast. And I was like, what are you talking about, submarine?
It's a hard concept to understand, but once you listen to it, you'll get it quick. Yeah.
Well, he convinced me. I was like, well, I'll have to check it out. And then he's a Stephen King fan.
Yeah.
So Ice-Cream, that's the one he's getting ready to start. He's
that vibe.
Yeah, he's very excited about that. Did you discover, so when you started with Cascadia, and now you're doing Supermarket, has it gotten easier, or because you kind of figured out the process, or is it just as hard now as it was for the first?
It's just as hard because it's a different genre. There's a bigger cast. We also weren't recording at the same time. Like our first two shows, we recorded in the same room at the same time, but because of scheduling, we weren't able to do that. So I was literally Frankensteining everyone's line and putting it together.
Yeah.
And it was just so time consuming. And it's also comedy. So comedy is like, it's music, right? Like it's all about timing and beats. And it was just very hard to navigate, but I had these two amazing, talented people helping me throughout everything. And I'm just thankful for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alexandria, was this, you know, when you came in with the podcast group, was that the first time you had attempted directing, or have you had experience with that in the past?
I have had experience with this in the past in a visual format. I created a web series called Yo Fam. It actually stars two really talented actors and Sujith as well. He was in my first project, which is how we were able to connect him into this project. And Adam had a little role in it as well.
Yes.
But directing a podcast for the first time was my first time doing that. But I have had a little, you know, I've got to play in 911 podcast before. I'm in Ice-Cream. I have a role in there. So being able to be a part of the
Are you the killer?
You'll have to stay tuned to find out.
Yeah.
Because of that, I got, you know, like an idea of how things were going to go down.
Yeah. It's interesting because directing, I think, for a podcast format, a little bit different than directing, say, if you're on a set, but not a ton different.
Yeah.
It has its own challenges, but you're still having to direct and wrangle and, you know, kind of make sure everybody's on the same page. Did you have difficulty transitioning to like podcast director from set director, or was that pretty smooth?
The visual element, it wasn't that difficult for me because I got to work with such talented performers. You do have to up the antics a lot and try to bring out a bigger performance from everyone because of that. But everybody was really great at taking notes. There's just it's a little bit more difficult because it is a physical comedy. So you have to really
Right.
make sure that the performances are elevated so it comes across through your listening and imagination rather than being able to see it.
Yeah, that makes sense to me, and it's kind of taken over old school radio, where we used to do the radio broadcasts, and for a lot of people, it's replaced reading, because we're so busy, we don't sit and just take a time to open a book. You listen to podcasts now, and
you listen to it in the car. You can listen to it on the beach
or at the gym.
In the gym.
at the gym.
Yeah.
And it's pretty great. Like I'll listen. I listen to podcasts when I'm working out. I have trouble listening to them on a treadmill.
Yeah.
But for your stuff, I can listen to that on a treadmill.
Oh, really?
Like it's an actual program.
Yeah. It's like watching a TV on the
It's
treadmill.
like, and I can use my imagination. I'm having trouble with picturing it in my head. I love it. Took me a little while to get used to listening instead of watching. But in a lot of ways, you absorb it better.
Yeah.
Right.
You get used to it. You just get used to it. Mm-hmm.
Well, so Ryan, how did they pull you into this, podcast?
Oh man, well, I've known Alex and Adam for years, and we've worked together on smaller things that I've done for social media. And so Adam was like, "Oh, I've got this thing for you. I think you're so funny. I would love to get you involved." So he reached out when the time finally came around. He actually brought it to me like a year prior. And he's like, "I'm working on this thing. It's gonna come." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm around. Just let me know." And then finally the day came, and he's like, "Okay, it's happening." So he got me in the studio, and we just had a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that you guys were friends and close beforehand. That had to help once you started trying to create something.
Totally. I
100%
think with comedy, especially, chemistry is a big deal. And we all have that because of our friendship, in past years. So it was like a step up from just going in the studio. We just kind of just fell into it, and it wasn't like, oh, is this okay? Or is this all right? Like, we were just like, I was like, let's go and have fun, and if something didn't work, I was free to tell them, oh, this didn't work. And it wasn't like stepping around the bush, we were just so comfortable with each other that it was easy to play in that sandbox,
Well, and I mean, comedy's kind of like music. There's a rhythm to it. And if you're out of rhythm, it's not going to be funny.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And these guys are very funny. These two down here.
You're very
I
I
had them both in my mind from the moment I started writing the script. Before even Alex came on board, I was like, I want these two. And I know I was telling Ryan, I was like, Ryan, I promise it's coming. Like, it was about a year before we actually I was like, please don't give up on me. Like, he's like, no, like, anytime, take your time. Like, he was so supportive, but I was just like, I just want you to know, like, I am working on it. Like, I know a lot of people say that, I have an idea for something and then they don't actually follow up with it. But I was quite serious. And I was just like, please just give me time. And he's like, Adam, take as long as you want. Like, I trust you. So,
well, that's what we learned, in our endeavor. Knowing it is, you better count on like 3 times as much time because we had no idea it was going to take as long as it did. And it wasn't the recording part. You get that done fairly quickly.
Yeah.
It's the editing and the production side of it takes just forever.
For us, it was the writing because it was like, we wanted to make sure it was funny, and we worked on it for so long. We had so much pressure on ourselves for no reason that we were like, I don't know if this is good or not. Until the point we actually had to like shelve the show, and we took a few months off, and we were like, let's just like leave it. And then we ended up picking it back up and going into it with more of open-mindedness and like just started completely from scratch. Like, we scratched all the other stuff that we did and we just wrote from the heart. And that's when the magic really happened, because we didn't have the pressure on ourselves. We weren't like trying to be funny. We were just doing it, and we were just seeing what worked. And that's where we started to realize, okay, we have something here. Yeah. So that took a while writing, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, so let's talk about Supermarket a little bit.
Yeah.
What's the show about?
Do you want to explain to Alex or Ryan?
One of y'all, you guys go. Okay. You guys are creative.
The show follows Carson Carson, who
I love that though. Yeah. The name's awesome.
The name is so funny. It works out so well. It follows.
There'll be an explanation for it eventually in the future why he has 2 same names. Stay tuned.
It follows the adventures of Carson Carson, who was is a grown-up child star from Jewish-ish. He's outlandish, he's abrasive, he's absurd, and he ends up having a grotesque sex tape leak, and he gets excommunicated from Hollywood, and he has to go back to his home in small town LA and reprise his job at the supermarket where his humble beginnings began, and things go bananas and crazy because Carson is just this obnoxious character who's so full of himself.
Batshit crazy.
Batshit crazy.
You can say that.
Very, very lovable. And all the characters help him on his journey to kind of humble himself.
Yes. That's
He
a
gets
great.
humbled for sure by
Yes.
the external forces of the world and in the supermarket.
Mm-hmm.
Based
was
on
a
a true
really good
story, I'm
explanation.
assuming.
Pardon?
Pardon?
Based on a true story, I'm assuming.
Loosely
Allegedly.
based off of that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Now, I love the fact that he gets stuck back in the supermarket.
Yes.
Yeah, because as an actor, a lot of times you have to have that second job anyway. So a ton of people do supermarket or waiting,
Uh-huh.
whatever it is, home repair, whatever it is. But he got past that. He's made it, and then he has this screw up of his own making that screws him up. He's back in the supermarket.
I know,
but he doesn't seem like he quite gets it. Like he just assumes he's still the same person. Everybody's going to treat him the same.
And what's so fun is that we have a little flashback in the first episode where you kind of see the last day of the supermarket where he works before he gets on his new show. And he's like, F all y'all, like, I'm never going to see you again. I'm better than all you. He calls everyone out on their shit. Kind of something that I feel like everybody wants to low-key say to their coworkers.
Of course.
So he has that moment and thinking he'll never go back. And then you see him kind of come back, basically begging for his job back under the guise that it's studying for a role for an indie film about a supermarket, which obviously later on gets revealed that it's not. And so, it's just so juicy and fun to listen to that. And like Alex said, throughout the season, you kind of see him start up here and the coworkers are down here, humble level, I guess. And they somehow meet him in the middle and they try to bring him down, so it's fun to see that journey for sure.
Yeah.
Any plans for season 2?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes. We're in the development process. We already have an arc that we're working with, so we're just in the midst of putting all of it together for the story structure.
Yeah. So you're saying I'm gonna have a job again soon? Okay.
You're gonna have a job. Oh yes.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to
what's
that.
your role on the podcast, Ryan?
Oh, I play Elijah, the fun-loving stoner. He's kind of like, oddly enough, in a way, it's almost like he's Carson's best friend, but like not really, but wants to be closer to him. But he really loves Carson, kind of like a lost puppy who just like sees him and he's like, oh, like you're just like the coolest dude ever, and you do the greatest things. Because in the first episode, when Carson is reaming out everybody, the one person he doesn't, he says, Elijah, you're all right, But yeah, I think he has like a special love for Elijah Carson in his place, just because like Elijah has such a sweet innocence to him, and he's fun loving and he's caring. So yeah, I play the guy that really loves Carson, that sees Carson, that really sees him.
Yeah, and throughout the season, I feel like he also borders along the lines of maybe being a little bit of an obsessed fan. Like he's loving so much that he almost kind of irks Carson out, and Carson's always just shutting him down. Like, okay, enough. Like, he's literally like a puppy dog. He's just so supportive and loving, and he's just such a cute character. I love watching you play him. He's you killed it.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's funny. Like he amuses me watching it. It's pretty good. Or I guess listening to it. I guess I'm not watching.
One of my favorite lines from Elijah is him mistaking a balaclava for a baklava. And just the way that Ryan performed that in the studio, like, had us dying. Like, it was just so funny. And I don't want to give the show away, but
I know you're writing a script, but once you start recording, do you allow more of an improv setting?
Absolutely.
Where each actor can we kind of found that too. Sometimes you got to find the words. Write them down, but when you say them, maybe it's not quite right, and the actor can kind of make it their own. I assumed you did that, but yeah, talk a little bit about that. Was it, was that empowering? Was it helpful, or did that, kind of slow things down because you had too many cooks?
No, we actually loved all of the cooks in our kitchen. It was a very collaborative experience. Everybody brought something unique to the table, and we all were able to collaborate so effortlessly together. It gave a really amazing like collaborative feel, because we all had genuine fresh ideas that maybe somebody else didn't see, and just allowing the actors to play really gave them the tone for their characters to shine through. So it was really nice.
And just to piggyback off of that as well, there was one day when I was in the studio, Alex couldn't be there, but she was on Zoom and she was directing. And, I was going in having fun. And with her amazing input that she gave, she's like, you know what, Ryan, you should try it this way. And Adam was like, okay, well, yeah, let's try it this way. And then they're like, oh, you know what? We think that's it. So that collaboration that these two allowed to have, it was so relaxed. It was so fun, beautiful. They're very amazing to work with. Like, I would love to work with them again.
And you will. Many, many times. Careful what you wish for.
Well, just from my viewpoint of talking with a lot of entertainers, sometimes you gotta make your own stuff.
You have to.
Definitely.
You kind of gotta do your own thing while you're waiting on the next thing to
Totally.
come
Totally.
on. Yeah. And now you guys have got this group that I'm assuming you're going to keep working together on different things. And that's pretty nice. That's a nice little safety net.
And like, that's what really the reason why I started everything here was because I wanted my talented friends to be showcased and like have a platform and to be able to perform and, write and collaborate and do whatever they want. And, now there's such a big audience for this. Like I just found out today that IMDb listed our show Supermarket in the top 50 comedy podcasts of all time.
Wow.
And to know that is like so emotional for me, because it's like we've worked so hard on this for over 2 years, and to show off my friends' talents and have that spotlight is it's just the best thing, So
no,
it goes in the power of you can make your own stuff and it can be seen and listened to and have an audience for sure,
Definitely.
So
yeah, if you're creative and you put it out there, people will find you. The difficulty is you need enough of them to find you to make it worthwhile to keep doing it, and you've found that.
I believe if you put in the hard work, like your audience will come. You know what I mean? People, like you said, people will find you. People will word of mouth talk about the show, and it'll just get around. And it's only in 2 months out. Like we've only been out for 2 months, and I'm hoping that within this year it'll grow bigger and bigger and bigger.
And who found 911 was Comic-Con. Comic-Con found Cascadia, and they were so impressed by it that they invited Adam, Antonio, one of the co-creators, and the cast of Cascadia to do a panel at the Toronto Comic-Con. And actual fans who listened to the show showed up. The panel. So you never know who's listening.
You just never know who's listening. Yeah.
So it was really great. It was I went to the event as well. It was so awesome just to see the actual people who enjoy the show and that reach. And it was just off the first show alone. So
so beautiful. And I think that's the beautiful thing about creating art is when you're just putting it out there, and because you have a deep desire for people to listen or to view or to hear, and you're not doing it to become successful, I think when you come from a place of true authenticity, that's where the success comes from, because there's so much heart behind it. There's no way that people can't be like, oh, what is this amazing piece of art that we're all being drawn to?
Totally. Totally.
Yeah.
One of the things that I enjoyed with it is that you did a little bit of animation with the episodes this time. Who helped you with that?
Our co-creator and co-director Antonio Cordero. We were putting out the episodes, and he's like, what can I do to like add more to this production on a visual level? And he was playing around with the Adobe, I think it's called Characters, Adobe Animation. It's like it's an animating app, and he was doing the motions, and I guess they were capturing his motions, and he designed the characters and just little clips. And we're going to start rolling them out over the next month to give the show another leg, another life, And I would love to see this be a full animated series or a sitcom eventually. That's definitely the next goal for sure. Because it can be. I feel like it's so wacky and it's so cartoonish even in itself that it can
Oh, it
all it
fits.
needs is a visual element to it, so it works perfectly. Yeah.
If someone comes up and says, "Hey, let's make this a Netflix show,"
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Knock on wood, I hope.
Do you act your own characters, or do you run it like a business and go find new characters?
I feel like it would be I feel like we would want our whole cast to be there because
That's what I think.
all of us are film and television actors first, most of us.
Yeah.
So I would want that to be that for sure. Yeah.
I'd watch it.
Thank you. Maybe we'll have you on guest star.
Guest star, yeah, that's right.
Hey,
Fly
if
you in?
want, I will do that anytime. You may not want to give me a ton of lines.
Listen, I love your accent, so we'll find something for you.
We have a couple of actors who double as characters, so
Yes.
there's always room.
Okay, I've got a favor.
Yes.
All right.
Say it.
This is a little bit of a journey, so I'm going to tell you this quick story.
Okay.
This is what I want. So back, it's been, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago now. I had a buddy that ran the West Virginia film office, and one of those paranormal shows came through West Virginia looking for locations. Well, just so happened that another one of our friends, their family had this house that was like 200 years old.
Uh-huh.
And we grew up kind of playing in it. We spent most of our time because we were unsupervised, so
yes,
we were out there all the time. It was not haunted. I mean, there was stories, there was rumors, all that, and it was not haunted.
Yeah.
They wanted to get, there was all these stories, so they wanted to go and do a show. Well, they had to have someone outside the family to verify that these ghost stories were actually true. And I was like, oh yeah, I can do that.
For a paycheck, I hope.
love that.
Yeah, no paycheck. I just showed up, And I'm like, oh yeah, it's
Oh,
true.
you were on TV. You were on the show.
I was on the show.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
So it's not haunted, but
But you did it for,
But you did it for
Oh,
sure,
yeah. It's totally haunted. It's totally haunted. So under my, it's Mike Wall, under my name, tagline, it says childhood friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I took that childhood friend, and my friends took it, and they made memes, and it was just it became a thing.
Oh my! Yeah. Oh, like your title on the show said childhood friend.
Childhood friend.
Yeah,
so then I became childhood friend.
Yeah.
Right.
For years. So that all of that to say that if you need me as a guest star, if you could just have me introduced, somebody be like, hey, have you met my childhood friend?
Hey, you could be Carson's childhood friend. He does go home after all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Nobody would get it except for my friends.
But it can also be funny that you're just known as the childhood friend. Like you don't have a name.
Childhood friend, no name.
They would be dying.
Yeah.
They would eat that up. That
was a long walk to get, to not much payoff. But there you go.
Well, you never know. Season 2.
When I was telling you, we did a podcast, an audio drama called Last Saturday Night, and Ed Asner did it. But I didn't know that. I wasn't, I was helping with the casting.
Yes.
We had this, we had a role for an older gentleman that we were having just an awful time filling. We just couldn't get it filled.
Oh, yeah.
And it was based on a little story that I had told. I'd worked in a hospital, and I told this little story about helping this little old man, this patient, and we put it in there, but couldn't find an old guy. So it came to the day when I had to record my lines, which was stressful enough because I'm not an actor. And I was just doing it on Zoom, and I'm only playing myself. So stressful. So I get on there, and our writer, our director says, hey, I found a guy to play the older gentleman. He wants to read with you. And I was like, oh, that's great. Maybe that'll help me having somebody to read off of because I'm not used to doing this. She's like, great. He's getting ready to come on. So he comes on. It's Ed Asner.
Oh, my God.
I was like, that didn't help.
You're like, what? Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so true.
I was like, you don't want your first acting job just to be opposite.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, you did it.
What a legend.
Iconic,
Yeah, I was a little bit stressed. He was terrific.
Yeah.
I know that.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I'm sure you guys don't run into that. You're experienced actors. I'm sure.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. I actually do. I feel it all the time. On Mayor of Kingstown, I'm a big Marvel fan, and
Oh yeah.
you know, my first day, I'm just seeing Jeremy Renner, and I was like, oh man, that's Hawkeye. So I'm like trying to keep my composure. Plus, we also had Kyle Chandler, and I was a fan of the Godzilla films as
Oh
well.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm like,
Kyle
oh my
Chandler's a
gosh.
great actor. Friday
Oh,
Night.
he's
Lights,
great. Great actor, great human being. He had some stories for days. But to go with what I was saying, it's like I'm seeing these guys that I grew up watching on these shows and in these movies, and it's like, oh my gosh, like what do I do? You know, so like my first couple takes, I was nervous, and then I was just like, oh no, I do this. This is what I do. I'm a professional, you know?
Yeah,
They're just like me.
They're
And
just
so I kind of
doing,
was able to, yeah, they're just doing the job.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I love
always
that.
it's always fun. I grew up watching Degrassi and then eventually was on Degrassi, so
Yeah.
that was nice. But I had a really big crush on a character named Craig, played by Jake Epstein. And one of my first guest episodes I did for a show called Being Erica, I had to kiss my childhood crush.
Oh,
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, so when I got cast and saw who was my screen partner, I was very excited.
Were you nervous? I never asked you this. Like,
No.
were you so nervous?
I wasn't, but
Oh my God.
everybody, we had to do a lot of takes. And it was
By the end, you're like, I'm over it.
You
I'm
weren't
fine.
complaining. I bet you weren't
Do
complaining.
it all day. You should do it
yeah,
all
that's
day.
not terrible.
No,
You got
it was
paid to
fun.
kiss your crush. We love
Yeah,
that.
it was
Yeah.
great. It was a fun experience, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's not terrible at all. You'd mentioned the comic convention scene. You know, I'm a ex comic book store owner.
Cool.
Yeah, I spent most of the 80s and 90s just doing shows, you know, traveling the country, doing conventions. They're the best. And
They are.
90% of the people you run into, they're great. I mean, the fans are
So
terrific.
cool.
Yeah, I'm so happy you guys got to do that because I do think, you know, when you put out, especially something sci-fi or superhero, like you can't beat a convention because
I
people
know.
get so involved.
I remember
Yeah.
going and like I was wearing this like blue button-down shirt and like these like funky pants or whatever, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so overdressed. I feel like I'm just overdressed. And I got there and everyone was dressed in like full-on outfits and stuff. I was like, okay, I'm underdressed actually,
right.
you know? So it was just so cool to walk around and see everybody so full-blown in any of their niches that they were into. And yeah, like getting to meet our listeners like face to face was just like an unreal experience, you know? Like this one person said that they were like going through the darkest time and they listened to our show and it made them just like forget about everything. And I was like, wow, like you hear about that kind of stuff, but to hear it from somebody face to face was just another level for sure. And it motivated me to keep going with this for sure.
Yeah, we get that a lot in our reviews on Apple and Spotify. People say that they're going through such a hard time. They're so depressed, and just listening to Supermarket elevates their mood so much because it's so funny. It's so wacky. It's a great little escape.
It's an escape. Yeah.
It helps them, motivate them and get through a hard time, which is really what, you do it for.
Yeah,
totally. Like that. Yeah.
Escape is a great way to describe it because it is like when I was listening, you know, most of the time when you watch a show or you're listening to something, you're multitasking.
Right.
I had a little bit of trouble doing that. I was enjoying it too much.
Oh, thank you.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's not easy to do. You know, it's difficult, I think, to capture, especially with everybody having cell phones. It's so difficult to capture somebody's full attention.
And but, you know, I mean, this isn't like I don't do this for people who need a quick scroll or watch quick videos, whatever. These are long form storytelling. You know, this is for people who enjoy this kind of format. That's why I never like feel bad if someone doesn't listen or whatever. Like, I'm like, it's not for everybody. It's people, it's for the people who do enjoy this kind of format and do enjoy this kind of long form storytelling. And yeah, that's it.
Well, didn't you do like a blooper episode and
we did
behind the scenes episode? I love that.
Yeah, we have our behind the scenes episode coming out very shortly. Probably by the time this comes out, it'll already be out. But yeah, we just basically talk about the whole making process. We go so in depth about just our struggles with writing and just recording and the highs and the lows of all of it. And so it's a good episode. It comes out next week for sure. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to listening to that one.
Thank you. But the bloopers episode was a lot of fun because I got to take pieces of everyone's bloopers and kind of put it together.
Everybody loves blooper episodes.
Brian's bloopers are hilarious. They had me laughing the most.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm like, did I make a lot of bloopers?
No, a lot of them,
Thanks, guys.
no, a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
Everyone was pretty like I'm not kidding. Everyone would come in and just crush their lines. It was hard to find the bloopers.
Yeah.
A lot of ad libs, a lot of different ways of performing the lines, but I wanted like literal bloopers where people were like messing up their lines and stuff because I thought that was fun. But a lot of it was just experimental stuff in the studio. These actors came very prepared.
You
We're
just
very
said
lucky.
something very funny about how you can have a visceral experience for your performance. And it had me laughing really hard. I don't want to say, you guys have to go listen to how he gets into the role.
Oh yes.
He's
Oh yes.
like, am I allowed to make this emotion? And we say, go for it.
We're like, go.
Go.
Oh man, thanks guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
fun.
what's next for 911? You know, is it more of these type of programs, or are you planning to do more of a traditional podcast at some point? You know, what's coming up?
So much is in the works
Yeah.
in so many different departments, but right now we're definitely focusing on Cascadia season 2. That's coming out next, and then season 2 of Supermarket. That's our goal for this year for sure. But I'm very unhinged, so if I have an idea and I'm like, okay, we got to create this as well. I mean, these shows come first, but you never know. There might be more down the pipeline. I want to explore more different genres, different things. Like I love doing this in this medium. So I'm having fun with my friends, and it's just the best time. So who knows, you know?
I think the idea is to have a catalog exploring
Yes.
all genres, you know, fantasy,
Yeah.
magic,
Yeah.
anything like that. We also enjoy putting out sort of like themed shows. So Ice Cream was a Halloween kind of idea.
Limited series. Yeah.
For October. So we'd end up doing, you know, like another Halloween one, probably maybe a Christmas one eventually, make it a little Hallmarky.
Yeah.
We have another series, which is more podcast formatted, that Adam created called Unscripted, where he takes each actor from the series and they kind of do a deep dive into the creating of the show, the characters, what it was like working on
The careers. Yeah.
So that's
So
really
we
nice.
have that too. Yeah. A lot of things. I also really want to explore, like, I want to take like a true crime and make it into kind of like a fiction format, like almost like the Jeffrey Dahmer series on Netflix, where that was like a true story, but that was all acted and whatnot. Definitely want to explore that, but that will take a lot more time because there's a lot more research and a lot more, like, these are real people, and you know, you want to do the story right. So that will take a lot of time, but that's definitely something in the works as well. Something I want to do for sure in the future.
When you've written something, do you kind of workshop it ahead of time to test it out to make sure that it's something you want to actually produce? You know, do you do table reads, that type of thing ahead of time, or do you know?
Not really.
I was gonna say, when you write
we really just like feel it. Like we're like, okay, no, we feel it, you know, and we're like, okay, let's go for it. And then
we do read the scripts with the writers,
of course,
together. We do like an overall reading and then do the rewrites and see where things hit and work and don't work. And then moving forward, we will be doing more table reads with the cast.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's why we shelved Supermarket for a bit, because we were like, we're not feeling this. Like something's off. And we just needed a time away from the script. And then we like came back with it with like fresh eyes and rewrote everything. And so we do take that time for sure. But usually like when we're inspired, like we kind of go full. We just go for it, you know?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you think about it too much, you get in your head, and then you know, you're just like, that's not good. But if you just do it and you trust that you have a great talented cast and a crew and people who are going to contribute amazing things to it, you can't go wrong. So
yeah. I think you could do a table read episode and release that, and people would love that.
That would be fun for sure.
That'd be fun.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And then release it. I think people will love those type of things, because we as fans, we don't get to see that part of entertainment that often.
Right.
Behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes. It was kind of a
good idea. And like you could see like kind of like the beginning of it and then the final product. That's a cool idea.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put it out before you put the
right
out, but after
like on the Patreon or something.
Audience,
yeah.
Like, here you go. Here's how it looked when we were just You know,
Right.
Smart thinking. Maybe you join the 911 team.
Yeah.
hey, you know, I love my son, but you know, if a better offer comes along, I mean,
For sure.
Come on, move
yeah.
to Toronto. No kidding.
I'll be like, you're on your own.
Yeah, bye, kid.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking a little bit of time. This has been the
Thank
best.
you.
I'm such a fan of what you're doing, and I think it's pretty unique. You know,
Thank
and that's
you.
not easy. Like I said, there's like 15 million podcasts. So to find a little niche, I mean, that's impressive. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Before I let you go, if we could go around and you could just give us your social media, that would be
Yeah.
great. Maybe Adam,
Of
we'll start with you and maybe go through the company social media.
Sure. Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at 911 podcasts, the numbers 911 podcasts, or on Instagram, which is _911 podcasts, or my Instagram personally, and all socials basically is Adam Murciano, Murciano.
Yeah.
One
Alex,
word.
you want to give yours?
Yep, I'm at Alex, ALEXX Benoit on pretty much all social media. I have a public Facebook account, which is just Alexandria Benoit.
Very nice. Very nice. And Ryan?
And yeah, I'm at Ryan Rosery, one word, Rosery. That's me.
Yeah.
I know you guys all have unique names that there's not 100 of you in there. You put in
Right.
Michael Wall and there's like a billion.
Oh, yeah.
I think on IMDb, I was like number 8 and I was,
Oh, my God.
that low.
Yeah. Aw,
Wow.
no.
I was like,
You gotta
hey,
put like
that's
a little like I don't know accent aigu or something on your A
yeah,
or
you
something.
gotta do that, or you
like-
put the middle initial.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I saw some people doing the they put the
The on IMDb they put
Michael
that.
Wall.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
Pretty good.
Okay.
I was like, hey, that's bold.
Like, okay, you're
That's smart,
claiming the
yeah.
name. Got
Yeah.
you. Well, thank you so much again, and thank you
Oh,
everyone
this
for
has been
watching.
Yes.
Yeah. We
Yes.
have to do it again when you get the next one ready. Come back.
Yeah.
For sure.
Right there. Right there.
And I'm
Thank you so
serious. I
much.
love your voice and your accent. I think we should definitely have you on something in the future.
Have me on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done. And I work cheap.
Maybe you could be Bernard's cousin or something.
Hey.
Bernard has a Texas accent. Not that
yeah.
you're from Texas, but he's a Southern accent. Sorry.
Yeah, but
And
you know, Texas and West Virginia accents are similar.
they are similar.
They
Okay,
are.
so
Not terrible.
you could
Not
be
that I'm,
cousins.
you know,
You could be the
campaigning.
childhood friend of Bernard. Done.
Yeah.
Boom.
Done. That was my only demand. So I'm done.
We got
Yeah,
you. We got you.
He's hooked. He's hooked, guys. He's hooked.
He's booked and blessed.
All right, hold on one second. All right, so that was the team from the 911 podcast. The show is Supermarket. Do yourself a favor and give it a listen. Really, really good, especially if you were fans of our audio drama The Last Saturday Night, which is still out there. If you want to check it out, stars Sherilyn Finn, Ed Asner, Tim Russ, Eric Roberts. I could keep going. It's loaded. Charlene Tilton is in it. It's loaded. But it's out there. Check that out. Love what 911 is doing. All of their podcasts are excellent. My favorite is Supermarket. It's so funny and a little make you a little uncomfortable in places, you know, but in a good way. It's really worth your time. Cascadia and Ice-Cream are the other two. Ice-Cream is kind of a Stephen King like horror. Cascadia is the submarine sci-fi drama. Both of them worth your time. And they mentioned that Cascadia would be having a season 2 as well as Supermarket. So support these guys. They're worth your time. It's a good group. They're putting out quality content. It's not easy to differentiate yourself. You know, I'm constantly begging for views and likes and subscriptions. It's not easy. But when the material is good, it definitely makes it a little bit easier. These guys are worth your time. Hope you enjoyed that. If you're finding us for the first time, we need your support too. It's easy to do and it's free. If you prefer to watch, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please just subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, really helps us out. If you're a listener, just wherever you listen to your podcast from, just subscribe there, help us out just as much. We're closing in on 750 episodes, and you can find all of those audio and video on our website, meistercon.com. And it'll also let you know if we're doing anything in studio, if we're going on location, covering a convention, acting in a different podcast, anything we have going on will be on the website, meistercon.com. So please check us out there. We talked about, they've been listed as a top 10 comedy podcast on IMDb. We haven't quite reached those levels, but we are listed as a top 100 podcast for IMDb. 15 million and counting podcasts out there. I'm not going to complain about being number 82. Pretty happy with that. So please, if you'd like to help us that way, you can go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and that's it. It's free. Bringing up the page, that traffic helps us out. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody. Hi, everybody. I'm once again here to ask for your support. It's been a big year for the Too Opinionated podcast. Back in February, we got to live out a dream, moderate for William Shatner here in our hometown. In May, we passed 100,000 downloads on our YouTube channel, and we followed that up in June with 50,000 downloads on the audio side. We recently posted our 600th episode, which is pretty good volume for just a father and son operation. Not too many podcasts can keep that volume up. We've been doing this now for 4.5 years, 600 plus episodes. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is a really big deal for us because we've always gotten the views, but have struggled to get people to subscribe. So that 1,000 was a big deal for us. And best of all, we were recently named one of the top podcasts on IMDb, which is the entertainment database. Those that are ahead of us, we came in at number 82. Those that are ahead of us are bigger companies like Disney, mostly Marvel, and Joe Rogan, that type of podcast. So for us, being just a small West Virginia father and son podcast, to be in the top 100 out of 15 million, it's a pretty big deal for us. So thank you for everything you've done for us so far. Got a couple little ways, though, that you can help us, and they're free, and they're really easy. If you haven't checked out our YouTube channel yet, please go to YouTube. It's under MeisterCon Pod. Just hit subscribe. It's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Really helps us a ton. And maybe even more important, if you could go to imdb.com, look up the Too Opinionated podcast, and just look around the page. Just having that traffic on the page really helps us out. So that's a couple easy ways that you can support us, even if you're not listening or watching all of the time. And we want you to listen and watch, because I think that our guest list, I would put up against anybody, any other show, podcast, anybody out there. I think our guest list holds up. So please check us out. You probably will find somebody that you like, or maybe somebody that you didn't know you liked, but kind of discovered them on there. There's tons of that. If you're into music, we have that too. If you like books, we've got authors on there. If you're more into what goes on behind the scenes in the entertainment world, we've got producers, directors, video artists, anything you can think of that happens behind the scenes, we've had them on the show. So definitely check us out. Thank you guys so much. Until next time. Bye, everybody.